And one last thing I want to talk about is legging into debit spreads. And if we purchase a stock or an ETF call option and the stock or ETF call produces a profit, then at a later date we will leg into a debit spread. So that's one of our money management principles. If we purchase a call option after the PowerTrend buy signal occurs, we use the trade management principles to manage our option purchase. So if we purchase an option after the buy signal, we'll use our money management to exit losing trades quickly and don't exit winning trades with a small profit. So we're talking now about a call option purchase after the buy signal. Then we use our money management rules to exit quickly if we have a losing trade. Now, if it develops into a winning trade, we have a 30% or greater profit in the call option purchase, then we'll sell to open a call option with a higher strike price at a later date to establish a debit spread. So when we purchase a call option, we use our stop loss rule, exit if we have a loss, and if we have a profit, then at a later date, we'll sell to open a call if we have a 30% or greater profit in our option purchase. And this is known as legging into a debit spread. Now, when you sell to open a call option, your trading account receives cash credit for the option premium that you sold. So if you sell a call option with a 4-point premium, then $400 in cash is credited to your account. And if you purchase a call option and the option increases in value, the sale of the call option at a later date generates a cash payment that goes into your trading account, and that will increase the profit potential of the existing call option purchase by as much as 50 to 100%, and will also provide downside protection in the event the underlying stock or ETF decreases in price. So we're talking now about purchasing a call option. If we have a profit at a later date, we're going to sell a call option, and this will increase the profit potential of the existing call purchase and also provide downside protection. It also reduces the cost of the option purchase, and this will reduce your dollars at risk. So once you sell a call, that reduces the cost basis of the call option that you purchased, and this reduces your overall risk. The call option you purchased, of course, profits if the price of the underlying stock or ETF increases in price, and the call option sold profits if the price of the stock or ETF decreases. And your risk is limited to the cost of the spread. Let's look at an example here of a leg-in spread. The utility ETF, symbol XLU, was on a PowerTrend buy signal. Our brokerage confirmation shows that we bought the XLU 42 strike call at 474. We had a 30% plus profit in the trade, so we legged into a debit spread, and this brokerage confirmation shows that we sold to open the 48 strike call at 190. So we had a profit in the 42 strike call, so at a later date we legged in to a debit spread by selling to open the 48 strike call at 190. XLU was trading at 50.32 at the time, so we bought to open the 42 strike call at 474, sold to open the 48 strike call at 190, so the net debit was 284, so the cost of the spread was $284, and we reduced our dollar risk at that point from $474 to $284. So XLU was trading at 50.32, and we bought the 42 call and sold the 48 call. So this was an in-the-money debit spread, as the strike prices were less than the current price of the ETF. And as we mentioned, the in-the-money spreads give us more downside protection and a higher probability the trade will be profitable, so we like to trade in-the-money spreads. And we did a call option spread analysis on this trade before we legged into the spread, and this calculated the profit potential assuming various price changes in XLU at option expiration. In this case, from a 7.5% increase to a 7.5% decrease. And again, we bought the 42 strike call at 474 and sold to open the 48 strike call at 190. So we can see that if XLU in this example, if it's flat at option expiration at 50.32, we'll realize a 111% return and a $316 profit. If it's up at all at option expiration, we'll see that 111% return. If it's down 5%, we'll realize 104% return. And if it's down 7.5%, we'll realize a 60% return. So in this case, we legged into the spread, and let's look at the advantages of legging into spreads. Selling the 48 strike call for 190, that resulted in a 53% increase in the profit potential of the existing 42 strike purchase. So we had about a $350 profit already in the 42 strike purchase, but by selling this 48 strike call, we increased that profit potential by over 50%. And of course, the sale of 48 strike call results in cash being credited to our brokerage account, and that cash provides downside protection in the event XLU declines in price. So with this trade legging into the spread, if it's up at all, we'll have 111% return, flat 111% return, down 7.5%, we'll have a 60% return. So profiting when your stock or ETF is flat or down, of course, gives you a much higher probability of success. So just to summarize the advantages of legging into a debit spread, the sale of the call option can increase the profit potential of the existing call purchase by 50 to 100% or more. In the case of XLU, we increased our profit potential by 53%. It provides downside protection in case XLU declines in price. It reduced the risk, the total risk on the trade, from $474 to $284. And it can be profitable if XLU is up, down, or flat. So again, we make trade recommendations for debit spreads using both the simultaneous entry and the legging method with our trading service. And again, here's a list of all our debit spreads using both types of entry. And we have open trade profits, $160,000, and average return of 133%. Okay, so that concludes my presentation today, and I'd be glad to take some questions to address anything that I didn't cover in the presentation. Okay, here's a question. What is the 1 month price of the stock? And the 1 month price is the price that the stock is trading on the last trading day of the month. So if XLU closes at 57 on the last trading day of the month, then the 1 month price of XLU is 57. And let's see if I can pull up some more questions here. Okay, Nick, if you could, okay, I'm able to do that now. I'm just trying to see if there's any more questions here.
No, I sent you a few in the chat. Did you get? Do you have the chat panel open?
I'm looking at the Q&A right now.
Okay, hold on. Let me send these to you. The chat panel can be opened. There's a button on the bottom of the screen in the middle that looks like a text bubble.
Let's see. I don't see that. Oh yeah, chat. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I can see that now.
Okay.
Let me see if I can expand that. Okay. Okay, here's a question. When you leg into a debit spread, why do you first require a 30% increase in the call that was purchased? There is no such requirement when you buy and sell simultaneously. So the idea behind legging into the spread is that if you have a profit in the call option purchase, then you want to sell a call at a later date because that will give you downside protection and also increase the profit potential of the existing call purchase. So that will give you, when you leg into a spread, that gives you a higher profit potential and it gives you more downside protection than the simultaneous entry. So we use both types of entry, but the leg-in type of entry, of course, will give you a higher percentage profit potential and also provide more downside protection. Okay, here's a question. Is the alert that is sent out to be executed at the same price, or there may be a different entry price? And what we do when we send out an alert to purchase an option debit spread, we're basing the entry price of the spread based on the current stock price. So we will record the current stock price when or the current price for the spread when we initiate the trade alert, and then on the member section of the website, we'll enter that debit spread at the price it was trading when we issued the alert. And then each day, those prices are updated after the market close, so you can look at the member section, you can look at each trade and see what the open trade profit loss is and the profit or loss for their portfolio. And of course, you can always look at all the closeout trades too to see how they did historically. Let me see if I can. Okay, what is your exit strategy on debit spreads, or do you always hold them to expiration? We will exit a debit spread if we have anywhere from a 20 to 30, 35% loss on the spread trade. Then we will exit the debit spread before it develops into a larger loss. So if we don't get stopped out, then we just hold the spread till expiration. If the stock is still on a buy signal, then we will roll over that spread and roll over the profits for the closed out spread into the new spread. Okay, here's a question. What triggers you to sell a profitable option prior to expiration? And as I mentioned, if we purchase an option and it's profitable at option expiration and the underlying stock is still on a buy signal, then we'll roll over that option into a new option. And we usually use a spread order to sell to close the existing call and then buy to open the new call. So we normally will roll over options if they're profitable at expiration. Okay, here's a question. You have portfolio percentage guidelines for investing in any given option, and all of our members have different size accounts, and we don't know what the size of those accounts are, so we don't provide any percentage guidelines. Some members will have hundreds of thousands of dollars. Some members will have $5,000. So we can't establish guidelines because each member has a different amount of money. But I will say, let's say you have $5,000, you could probably trade. You wouldn't be able to trade one contract for every trade signal, but you could certainly trade. You could probably take 5 or 6 of the recommendations in stocks that are in different sectors. So you could actually have a portfolio of option debit spreads with a $5,000 account. You wouldn't be able to trade all of the recommendations, but for the option spreads, usually if you have a $10,000 or $15,000 account, then you can trade most of the trade recommendations if you trade one contract. So we like to spread out the risk between various positions, obviously for money management principles. Okay, let's see if I can. Okay, here's a question. Does this program handle credit spreads? And we don't trade credit spreads. We found that our average member over time is not going to make money with credit spreads because you're risking on a typical credit spread, you could be risking $450 to make $50. And when you do that, you need a high percentage of winning trades, and you only need that one losing trade where you lose $450 when you're trying to make $50 and you give up all the profits you made for the last 7, 8, 9 trades. So it requires a very high percentage of winning trades, and we just found out that our average member just can't make money with credit spreads because you're risking $400 to make $100, or you're risking $450 to make $50, and that really decreases your odds of success because of that one losing trade that you'll get once in a while that just wipes out all the winning trades. So if you add in the cost of the commissions with credit spreads, we just found through experience that our average member doesn't make money with credit spreads, and that's why we stick to debit spreads. Okay, here's a question I have not seen. You mentioned the cost of different services, and we don't post the cost of the services. If you call Brad, he can give you special pricing because you're a member or you signed on to listen to this webinar. So Brad has different pricing schedules and different specials, but if you call him, he can give you a special price as a listener to the webinar. Okay, here's a question. Generally, how many trade signals do you send out every week? It depends on which portfolio we're talking about. If it's the option purchase portfolio, about half the portfolio is comprised of weekly options and the other half is comprised of monthly options. So we roll over those weekly options. We don't roll them over weekly because we found out through experience that with the weekly options, it's better to roll them over every other week due to the transaction costs and between the bid and ask spread and the commission costs, we roll over our weekly options every other week. So in the option purchase portfolio, we'll typically have, if you average it out, we have 3 or 4 trades a week if you average out the rollovers plus the new trades that are sent out every month. So it would be somewhere in the range of 3 to 4 trades a week if you averaged it out. Okay, here's a question about mentioning the hidden pricing anomaly. And the hidden pricing anomaly refers to debit spreads. And if you purchase a debit spread and you buy an in-the-money call option and sell a call option at a higher price, the option that you purchase typically will have 40 or 50 cents of time value, and the option that you sell may have $2 or $3 of time value. So at option expiration, they lose all time value. So, from the day that you initiate that spread, if you subtract, let's say the option you purchase has 50 cents of time value, the option you sell has $3 of time value. If you subtract the 50 cents you're going to lose for the option purchase from the $3 that you're going to receive from the option sale, you have, from day one, you have a 2.50 point profit potential. So that's the hidden pricing anomaly. From the day you initiate that trade, the time value is going to go to 0 at expiration. So you have a $250 pricing anomaly there from the day that you initiate the trade. Okay, here's a question. How do you roll over weekly options every other week? That doesn't make sense. Would think you'd have to do it every week. And actually, if you look at the option change, most of the weekly options for most of the stocks that we trade, they'll have weekly options going out several months. So, the weekly option this week would be the March 29th option. So, if you look at the option chains, they'll have option prices for 1 week from this Friday, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, up to 8 weeks of weekly options. Pricing is available usually 8 weeks in advance. So if it's a weekly option that expires March 29th, then we will roll over that option into the option that expires in April 2 weeks later. I'm not sure what that date would be, but it would be 2 weeks later from March 29th. And we found that rolling over every other week is more effective for our average member to reduce the transaction costs of the bid-ask spread and the commissions involved with rolling over the options. So you can roll them out over every 2 weeks. Okay, here's a question. I'm assuming this would be excellent for my Roth. I'm not a tax expert, but I do trade these strategies in my retirement account. Most brokerage houses will allow that for retirement accounts. Okay, I think that's most of the questions. So I want to thank everybody for being here today. And Nick, thank you for monitoring the webinar, and looking forward to the next webinar.